Did you see that? And that? Did you hear that? And that? Did you watch that? And that? That's not magic. That's power. That's communication. That's us. Here's our world when we're on the job. Here it is when we're not. We have seen what our future can be and grabbed it. We learn. We work. We learn. We work some more. We become the best in the world at what we do. And we get there without being crippled by college debt. Industrial, commercial, high voltage, low voltage, wind, solar, smart buildings. It takes smart people to build smart buildings. Just saying. We built that, and that, and that. Because of our wages and health benefits, we take care of them, and them, and them. We don't just work in our communities, we live in them, giving back to those who could use a helping hand, creating moments to remember, protecting and respecting our environment. We are individuals from all walks of life, working as one in an organization as old as electricity itself, and we'll keep doing it as long as the sun shines, as long as the wind blows.
IBEW Local 177, powering Jacksonville since 1912.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Jones, member and business manager of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 177, and you're watching Powering Jacksonville. Today we will be talking with Mike Williams, president of the Florida AFL-CIO, and Dr. Rich Templin, the director of politics and public policy with the Florida AFL-CIO. Guys, I really appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking time out of
You
your
bet.
schedule. Mike, before we get to the election and labor movement, can you share with us some about your background?
Well, I'm a proud journeyman wireman of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Was accepted into the apprenticeship in 1975, I believe it was. And then you had to be apprentice for 3 years before you could join as a member of the IBEW. So I became a member in 1977, and so I'm a 43-year member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I got to say the IBEW is the greatest union for the building trades in this country. It's such great examples of journeyman after journeyman, apprentice after apprentice that basically took themselves from wherever they were by the bootstraps and have made something out of themselves for themselves and their families like they never would have been able to do without the IBEW. I became a journeyman and traveled most of the time in the 1980s, or at least in part of the 1980s, all over the country chasing overtime. And then was elected president or business manager of our local union in 1990. You and I have worked on the same jobs on a couple of occasions back in the 80s, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night, 1982 at the Gilman Paper Mill in St. Mary's.
Yeah, that coal burner. I've held elected office. I hadn't worked with my tools since probably about 90. And the one thing I miss more than anything is the camaraderie and brotherhood out on the jobs when you're working with your tools. People say, you don't miss being on the job. Well, yes, I do. I do miss that, just like I'm sure you do today as business manager of the home local. But a couple of interesting things when I was business manager, we passed our first drug-free workplace policy. What a challenge that was in the local union, but it came through and put a lot of people to work that may not have been able to work because of all the various drug-free workplace policies that were all over the board with the different employers around North Florida, but we put it into one. And one interesting thing that happened when I was business manager, we turned our local union building into a smoke-free building. And I don't know if you remember that night when the vote was taken. That night when the vote was taken, the motion was to make the building smoke-free. Now, this is a bunch of construction guys, keep in mind. And you could not determine by voice vote if it won or failed. So did raise your hand. And the sergeant arms who were counting never could come up with the same number with people raising their hands, whether they supported or opposed. Then they said, okay, everybody stand. Who supported, then stand if you oppose. Still couldn't come up with the same numbers. So it was a division of the House. Everybody who supported got up and went on this wall. Everybody who opposed got up and went on this wall. And it was the exact same number on both walls. President Russell Harper was the only one left at the podium. As smoker, he had to make the final decision on whether to make it smoke-free or not, and he voted to make it smoke-free. What an interesting night that was. Yes, but anyway, I left as business manager of 177, became president of the Florida Building Trades, moved to Tallahassee for that reason. At the time, the Florida Building Trades was just in name only, not a lot of activity with the state legislature, but with the help of business managers of the building trades like yourself, especially the IBEW at that time, the Florida Building Trades over a few years became a recognized voice in the Florida legislature, representing working families of the building trades, and even better with the IBEW. Stayed with the Florida Building Trades until 2009, was elected president of the Florida AFL-CIO, and what a great experience that's been. I'm in the last year of my third term, or 4-year terms, the last year of my third term, and let me just say what a great honor it's been to represent all the workers and union members and their families in the state of Florida as president of the Florida AFL-CIO. And I got to say that my home local, IBEW 177 here in Jacksonville, that I'm so proud of and got started out in the labor movement back in the 70s as an apprentice, taught me how to work with people, how to compromise when necessary, but how to dig your heels in when you have to make sure that you're supporting and stand for the right issues when it comes to working families. And really proud of being able to do that, humbled to be able to do that. And I got to say again, if it wasn't for the IBEW, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I'm just so proud to be there. You know, the IBEW is the second largest affiliate with the Florida AFL-CIO. Needless to say, they have a little impact and a little say on what goes on the state organization. So just humbly trying to throw out there, without patting myself on the back, my background, since you asked about it.
Thank you very much. Rich, can you tell us about your background?
Real briefly, I came out of the academic world. I was pursuing my PhD, and the elections in 2000 happened. And Tallahassee for 37 days was the center of the universe. For those 37 days, I, like many others, was at the Capitol every day, protesting, raising our voice, making sure that we would have a fair election. And everywhere you looked was AFL-CIO. Everywhere you looked was labor, organizing everybody and pulling everybody together, union and non-union alike, and struck up some friendships. And probably about 6 months later, I was offered a job. It wasn't anything I was looking for. I mean, I had a great gig, graduate student, paid to teach, lots of free time, lots of partying at the university. But I was really touched by the labor movement, and I saw what it could be, and I saw what it could accomplish, and I wanted to be a part of it, and I've been here ever since.
Mike, you answered a lot of the questions I already had. How's the IBEW promote and enhance the construction trades in Jacksonville?
You know, when it comes to the construction trades in North Florida in general, specifically Jacksonville, the IBEW has always led the way, just like you are doing as a business manager in Jacksonville right now. Now think about the projects over the years that put a lot of workers, not just IBEW electrical workers, but other building trades workers on the jobs, supporting their families. IBEW took the lead in those negotiations and conversations that led to our contractors getting that work. And when you think about when the Jags got the stadium, all the electrical work was done by IBEW members working out of 177. When you think about the other major projects around Jacksonville, again, it happens that way. And you know, with 19 people, I'll never forget having to deal with 19 city councilmen on different projects where the council makes those decisions. The IBEW has always led the way for the building trades on conversations locally and making sure that union working families had the best opportunities to get on those jobs. And let me say that, you know, the IBEW, when it comes to organized labor, not just in Jacksonville, there are 10 central labor councils in the state of Florida, geographically set up to represent the individual affiliates, local unions of the Florida AFL-CIO. There's 10 of them. 4 are led by IBEW members. 4 of those central labor councils, the presidents are IBEW members. IBEW members sit on our executive board. There's a 54 board member, our Florida AFL-CIO executive board, of which the IBEW sits on several of those positions. And the IBEW, when it comes to influencing, moving projects, moving issues in the right direction, the IBEW is always there. The local sales tax, or not the sales tax, but the local tax to improve education facilities here in Jackson, half-penny sales tax. You know, I'm at a distance. I mean, I'm not involved, but I know that under your leadership right here in Jacksonville with IBEW, without the IBEW's participation, I don't think, and the building trades participation in general, that half-inch tax would have passed. Maybe it would have, but not nearly to the degree and success it did. And I'm just so proud of what you guys did with that. What great examples.
Yeah, a lot of people worked hard on that. When we return, we are going to talk more with President Williams and Dr. Templin about the Florida AFL-CIO 2020 electoral campaign. Be right back.
All catering provided by Corporate Caterers. Corporate Caterers, your safest source for office catering in Jacksonville. Locally owned and operated, visit corpcaterersjacks.com to place your order.
The IBEW has a reputation for quality and very well-trained electricians, very well-trained tradesmen. It's more than just a job, it's more than just work.
The IBEW has been there for me to help me succeed in my home life as well as work. I couldn't ask for a better union to be a part of.
Anybody that's considering being an electrician, I would tell them to jump on it right now, go through the apprenticeship program, and do it as quick as you can.
We are IBEW, Local 177.
Welcome back. We are here with Mike Williams, President of Florida AFL-CIO, and Dr. Rich Templin, Director of Politics and Public Policy with the Florida AFL-CIO. We're discussing the 2020 electoral campaign. Mike, can you tell us, how does the state federation work with affiliates and state and partners national level?
Well, working with the national is always a challenge. I'm sure, like you, to some degree, experience working with the national IBEW. It's all about leadership and relationships. But we start out the electoral season by developing an electoral plan with our major affiliates, central labor councils, the 10 councils that I just spoke of. Mm-hmm. And they're signed off, this electoral plan is signed off by the national AFL-CIO, our major affiliates, and the central labor council. There's different elements to this plan with set goals that we think will bring labor to the point of reaching our goals and helping our supported candidates and ballot initiatives. We had Dr. Rich Templin was our campaigns manager in 2020, as he's done over the last couple election cycles. Great job by Rich. I wouldn't trade Rich in the work he's done or anyone else with a state labor program. We had AFL furnished a field director. Each of the 10 central labor councils has a full-time field staff that does the nuts and bolts work of running program, whether it's legislative or electoral, but this season, obviously, electoral. And they run the different various programs within that geographic area, managed by Rich and directed by Pablo De Leon with the national AFL-CIO. There's a lot of released staff that affiliates release to work with us on our program, and a lot of volunteers that spend their free time working with us on our program. So overall, the AFL has provided staffing. They provided both fiscal and informational resources that help us move the program forward. Our statewide affiliates, through the central labor councils that they're affiliated with, we have that program that runs through those labor councils to the affiliates that go down to the rank and file members. So there's a seamless structure of program, information, and resources as needed to run that program.
I know a lot of that has a part of Labor 2020. Can you tell us about Labor 2020 and what was different this go around because of COVID?
Wow, there was some difference. You know, our original plan, we were going to rely heavily on canvassing, door-to-door conversations, knocking on doors with our members. This election cycle, we ran a member-to-member program, not the general public. Our members, the 300,000 union members and their families in the state of Florida, which gives us a universe to talk to of 1.3 million people in the state of Florida. And so when COVID hit and we realized the extremities of the impact, we drew back on the canvas. We did no door knocking as far as conversations at the front door, which is so meaningful and so impactful versus phone calls and other ways to contact our members. But because of COVID, we had to pull that out. And such an important element of the overall plan that we had already adopted, how do you make up the difference on that? So in general, the way we did that was we increased our mail that went to rank and file members, our affiliates. The local unions increased their mail, the central labor councils, and then we also increased our phone program. Yes, I've got sisters and brothers who called me up and said, Mike, if I hear from one of your people one more time, I'm gonna come knocking on your door. And, but that's what it takes. So the face-to-face contact, which is the most favored way to have results when it comes to information, persuasion, and get out the vote, we decided not to do that as a statewide labor organization. Now, there were individual affiliates who did it on their own, which is, that's their decision. The IBEW ran an internal program this electoral cycle that was second to none, with IBEW members calling other IBEW members. And there's no better way for a brother or sister of a labor organization to hear information, to be persuaded, and then actually encouraged to get out the vote from another member of their local union home organization. So I'm really proud of what the IBEW did this election cycle, in addition to the changes we had to make because of COVID.
Okay. Rich, how did the campaign perform? Did you meet your goals? And what were the results for working families?
Well, as President Williams shared, I mean, we really, so the way this works is, there's a lot of data out there about people. And we have an analytics team at the National AFL-CIO that works with all of that data to determine what our various targets are. And we put that into shortcuts. So we have groups 1 through 7. Group 1 are those members and their families who are going to support us, they're going to support our candidates, and they're definitely going to vote. Groups 2 and 3, they support us, sometimes they vote, sometimes they don't. Groups 4 and 5, these are folks that may support us, but we're not sure. So that's our persuasion universe, and we've got to talk to them. We've got to present them with the information about why the election is so important and why our endorsed candidates are the right people for the job. Once we have all that data and once we've targeted it all, we then determine how many, there's formulas that are in place, how many phone calls are needed to reach this person and move this person, how many face-to-face conversations at the doors, what have you. Well, once we had to make that decision to forego all of that face-to-face contact, we then had to do a lot of manipulation of the data to figure out how we could still get that same impact without having the face-to-face interaction. So we did that. We recalculated all of the volunteer shifts. A shift on phones is 3 hours, approximately 60 phone calls, 60 attempted phone calls. And so once we worked all that out, we then determined, how many shifts we needed, like what our shift goal was. And it was really tough the first half of the campaign. We didn't have the volunteers we needed. We didn't have the release staff from other affiliates that we usually have. So it was difficult. But as the campaign progressed, we saw a real uptick in volunteerism. We got help from other states. We had retired teachers in New York City and Long Island who were calling into Florida to help us make up all those shifts. So at the end of the day, we met our goals. We met our shift goals. We did more mail, as President Williams shared, than we've ever done before. We did approximately 60,000 pieces of mail just on our legislative races. In working with the national AFL-CIO, we did hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail when it comes to the top of the ticket. Now, the results, they speak for themselves. It's not what we wanted. We have no illusions that labor alone can, make the decision, can be the deciding factor. So we just have to really look at what is our contribution to the overall campaign in the state of Florida. We met or exceeded all of those goals. The outcome is not what we were looking for. We spent a lot of time on 4 targeted Senate races. So much that happens in Florida relies on the Florida Senate. We had 4 races that we were looking at that Republicans and others, big business, were looking at. They wanted to take 2 from us. We wanted to take 2 from them. And we succeeded in Senate District 3, which is North Florida, where Mike and I live. We were unsuccessful in Seminole County. That was a race that we were hoping to flip. We were unsuccessful in SD 39 in Miami-Dade. And then one that they were hoping to flip on our side, Senate District 37, also in Miami-Dade, that's in a recount right now. And we're doing everything we can to support that candidate, support the recount effort. And so we did well.
Alan, if I could just jump in, when it comes to the top of the ticket, the Biden campaign, the Biden-Harris, and some state house, state senate, there's no doubt organized labor in Florida, tremendously helped by the IBEW. We did our part. There's no doubt about it. We met or exceeded all of our goals, just like the IBEW did with your internal program. We have no control, or really don't know today, how successful the campaign in Florida was, how successful the Democratic Party in Florida was. We don't know specifically what their goals were they able to reach them, and other allies. So it's hard to make judgment on any other factor or input that goes into these campaigns. The only one we do know of and we can control was the highly successful meeting our goals in organized labor in the state of Florida.
And
Thank you.
one thing I did want to add, when we were trying to meet all of those goals without the volunteers, without the relief staff, we got a very, very generous contribution from the IBEW. That money went into a trusted partner, a call center. With that contribution from the IBEW, we were able to reach an additional 85,000 people here in the state of Florida, and that was huge.
Absolutely. When we return, we're going to talk more with our guest about the 2021 Florida legislature. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Power comes in many different forms. We depend on it everywhere we go. It's in our homes, our offices, our stores, our factories and plants. We are the experts who harness it and deliver it to you. We are the Powering America team of North Florida, the best trained, most skilled, and safest electricians in the world, the very definition of value in every job we do. The Powering America team of North Florida.
Are you looking for a career that pays you well and has great benefits? If so, consider applying at the Electrical Training Alliance of Jacksonville. We are a tuition-free 5-year apprenticeship program. There is no tuition and no student debt. The only costs are the books and the course fees. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year including benefits and graduate making over $80,000 a year including benefits. Go to etajax.org to apply. That's etajax.org.
Welcome back. We're here with President Mike Williams and Dr. Rich Templin, both with the Florida AFL-CIO. Mike, in general terms, how do you anticipate the 2021 legislation session to look as we continue to deal with COVID?
It's going to be challenging. Right now, we don't even know what the protocol is going to be as far as access to the Capitol, access to the different legislators, committee staff, legislative staff, so that we can communicate, build those relationships it takes to be successful in the Florida legislature. You know, our Working Family Lobby Corps, where every week we bring up rank and file members from all the different unions around the state, as well as leaders from around the state, and educate them on the issue of the day. And they go out to the Capitol and do the work where labor's in the face of those legislators every single day during the regular session. We don't know what that's going to look like, if at all, this coming up year, but because of COVID. You know, the issues of participating in the interim committee weeks are so important, because a lot of bills get ready and ginned up for the floor of the chambers during these committee weeks that we must be a part of. And let me just say, there's 2 committee weeks in January, 3 committee weeks in February that we may or may not be able to participate in at the level we need to make sure that we can get our message to those legislators to do the right thing, disregarding even what's going to happen during the regular session that begins the first Tuesday after the first Monday in the month of March, and then continues for the 60 straight days until the first part of May. So it's really up in the air. It's going to be really challenging, but you can rest assured that I know the Florida AFL-CIO and its affiliates, especially the affiliate of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, whatever our capacity is to act, we're going to be there.
Thank you. Rich, what are some of the key issues you expect this session, especially for the IBEW and the building trades?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest issues right off the bat is going to be revenue. 78% of our general revenue comes from the sales and use tax. When people aren't traveling, when people aren't spending, the state budget takes a big hit. The legislature has avoided it. They've been moving money around, trying not to deal with it before the election. So that's going to be a big deal, and that impacts everything from education, apprenticeships. But one of the biggest issues is going to be the unemployment insurance disaster. You know, the Florida legislature rewrote the law back in 2011. We protested that. We fought the writing of that law. It was an epic battle. We lost. Rick Scott signed the changes into law, and that's why we're seeing the disaster. They designed the system to fail on purpose. The business community did not want that trust fund that is used to pay out benefits. They didn't want any benefits going out the door. So we are going to, when the COVID disaster first hit and the unemployment crisis ensued, within 25 days, we had 10,000 workers sign a petition that we presented to the governor. We've given the governor, we've given the legislature a complete blueprint on how they can fix the unemployment insurance crisis. They don't want to do it, and we are going to make it job number one to make sure that they do.
Alan, I just want to thank you as my business manager of my home local union. I'm just so proud of you and the work you've done. I'm really proud for General President Lonnie Stevenson and 5th District Vice President Brian Thompson, the focus they've given to the state of Florida's labor organization, and the focus you've given with the IBEW to the Florida AFL-CIO. Really appreciate everything all of you have done for Florida. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys, for both of y'all being here today.
Thank you, sir.
We really appreciate our guests taking time out of their busy schedules to be here today on Powering Jacksonville, and thank them for their service to our community. Please join us every third Saturday of each month on CW 17 at 1 p.m. and every third Sunday of each month on Channel 4 at 3 p.m. Thank you, and make it a great day, everyone.
All catering provided by Corporate Caterers. Corporate Caterers, your safest source for office catering in Jacksonville. Locally owned and operated, visit corpcatersjacks.com to place your order.